other kinds of values you can do data validation for. Let's take a look at some of those. So I'll select a range, data, data validation. And one of the potentially helpful ways to validate data is by text and then checking for a valid email address or valid URL or link. With a valid email address, for example, if you enter some value in here that isn't a valid address, you'll get the little red flag on it indicating it's not. So it can be a good visual that you don't have the appropriate data in there. Other thing you can do with data validation is not allow the values that don't match. So if I go into data validation, I have my text, valid email, but I select reject input and I click save. And now if I try to add something that isn't valid, it's going to say it violates the rules and it won't let me enter it. You can use that reject input option with any of your any of the data validation types, and it's a really helpful way to even go farther to enforce that the data is entered the way you want it to. Some other things you can do with data validation is validation by number, and then the number is going to give you between ranges or greater than or less than, different values like that. So if you have specific values you're looking for, maybe grades or percents, you can use this kind of data validation to make sure you get something within that range. If you prefer to find items from a list that you manually type in here rather than creating a separate sheet with the data validation values in it, you can do that by choosing a list of items and entering their values here. You just separate them by commas, and that will make each of these options available in the drop-down for that cell. So there's a couple other ways to play with data validation, but it's a fantastic tool for helping have good data to start with.